Ed Markey has won. So I'm calling it. A couple of other people have called it. The big news organizations have not called it yet. But with 168,000 votes, it's 56-43. That's a 13-point lead. It's good night, Irene. And on top of that, every piece of reporting we have in says that Markey's winning in much larger margins in places than people expected. So the early folks who called the Markey win are correct. Ed Markey has won, so let me do a couple of things here. One, the people want it. What can I do? Down goes Joe Kennedy. Down goes Joe Kennedy. Down goes Joe Kennedy. So go raise another $5 million and see how that works out for you. It didn't work out for him. It worked out for him in gaining the endorsements of conservative Democrats and Democratic leadership like Nancy Pelosi, and even Mark Pocan, by the way, the so-called head of the Progressive Caucus, or the head of the so-called Progressive Caucus. And so he raised a lot of money for folks, and he was a Kennedy, and so they thought that hey, who cares? And Markey's a progressive that backed AOC. Let's teach him a lesson. Guess who learned a lesson? It wasn't us. It was you guys. In fact, I'm very happy to report this to you guys. Alex Thompson from Politico tweeting, Markey could be a model for Democratic incumbents in blue states and districts wary of 2022 primary challengers. Publicly support Medicare for all, the Green New Deal, and build a policy partnership with AOC. And wait till you get a load of this. His follow-up tweet. Some Democratic consultants are already talking about giving this advice to clients. You know what that is? That's what victory looks like.
Yes.
Okay, so because guys, our wins are not just about getting enough progressives in Congress to pass those bills. That's a much harder road. Our wins are about telling incumbents, you better vote the right way. Otherwise, I don't care about anybody else. We're gonna come for you, okay? And so, and challengers. So if incumbents get the message, hey, I better be for progressive policies and vote for those bills, then mission accomplished. Then we don't need to beat them. Because to us, it isn't personal, it's about policy. Because you don't wanna know why? And this is what the rest of the media cannot get through to their very, very thick heads, which is if we pass the bills, that actually affects Americans' lives. They actually, tens of millions of people actually get health care. Tens of thousands of people don't die every year because they don't have health care. We save tens of thousands of lives. We save potentially the planet through aggressive climate change proposals like Green New Deal. And unlike the jaded, skeptical, cynical people in DC, we actually care deeply about that. In fact, it's the only thing we care about. So if we get people who are disingenuous to vote for our policy and the bills pass and they positively affect your lives, mission accomplished. Who cares if they were cynical in their votes or if they meant it? So for all of you who supported Ed Markey and made sure that he won tonight, you have done more good than you realize. You not only got a guy who co-sponsored Green New Deal back into the Senate so he could do it again and we could win on that, but you scared the other incumbents into following his model. That's Politico reporting that. His model and the new model that now Democratic consultants are telling incumbents is, you better vote with progressives if you want to keep your seat. I mean, if that isn't mission accomplished, I don't know what is.
I mean, that's how the Tea Party took over the Republican Party. You know, they only beat Eric Cantor and a handful of other Republicans, and that's all they had to do to show incumbents that, look, this is where the energy is now. You better become members of the Tea Party. And the ability to marshal these kinds of resources to defend Markey, and also even assuming that Morse goes down tonight, the fact that the left could marshal a couple $1 million to take on the Ways and Means chairman and make him sweat means that nobody's really safe. And so, like you said, politicians like to head for safety, and consultants are going to tell them, well, the safer move is not to be an enemy of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. How do you not be her enemy? You sign on to her Green New Deal. You sign on to Medicare for all, and you don't pick public fights. You don't actively try to work against the progressive agenda behind the scenes, because if you become a poster boy for that kind of effort, then you could have a couple $1 million marshaled against you. You might survive, but you'd rather not have a couple $1 million spent against you in your primary. So just go with the flow, and the flow, as this Massachusetts race is showing, is headed in a progressive direction.
So if you had, look, this, in a lot of ways, this got launched almost exactly 4 years ago. On the night that Trump won, we talked about taking over the Democratic Party. This is what taking over the Democratic Party looks like. And we laid out the plan for you on that night. And as we were forming Justice Democrats, Zach Exley, Shoykat Chakrabarti, Kyle Kalinske, and I, and there were other super important people in that equation. We were the four founders, but Alex Rojas and Waleed Shahid joined later, but all these folks were critical. But when we talked about it, we talked about, if you had shown us that Politico tweet from the year 2020, we would have said, we did it. We did it, right? And to say, and in the tweet is a reference to AOC. We would be like, oh my, AOC was one of our first candidates for brand new Congress and for Justice Democrats. So if you had told us 4 years ago, as we're forming Justice Democrats, AOC, that young woman that you guys are helping that no one's ever heard of, is going to be such a massive power broker in just 4 years. She's not only going to beat the fourth most powerful Democrat, but she's instantly going to become a powerhouse that is so significant that Democratic consultants will be telling their clients, you better not cross AOC. I would have told you, hey, look, I'm a hopeful dude. I'm super optimistic. But in 4 years, we're going to accrue that kind of power. That is awfully hopeful. And here we are, guys. Here we are. Eddie Lacy, gone. Cori Bush is in his place. Elliot Engel, gone. Jamal Bowman is in his place. Crowley, gone. AOC in his place. Omar, Tlaib, Presley, Marie Newman, and the list goes on, including the incumbents. And mark my words, before we had a hell of a time getting incumbents to join Justice Democrats. Ro Khanna showed incredible courage by being the first, then Pramila Jayapal and Raul Grijalva. I'm telling you now, a lot more incumbents will join the Justice Democrats after these set of elections. And now with Markey holding back the beloved Joe Kennedy, the poster child for corporate Democrats, the word is out. Progressives not only have the people, Ryan's book, We've Got People, and that's a quote from AOC, right? But we now have the money too. Between Justice Democrats PAC, Rebellion PAC, Fight Corporate Monopolies PAC, Young Turks, right? You guys are awesome, the audience. We got a lot of money and we got a lot of people. And guys, I told you this too. One more thing that's so important. If we can make a race out of any of these contests, we win. So 8 out of 10 times, not every time, but 8 out of 10 times we win when there's a real contest and the media says, oh, it's a progressive versus a conservative Democrat. No. The progressive Democrat's gonna win. So, and the more power you have, the more the media has to pay attention to you. Mark my words on this too. 2022, we are going to clean house. We will win way more races. We will achieve scale by 2022. So if you're an incumbent and you're voting against progressive policies, you're an idiot and you better watch your back. because these groups will come for you.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.